Welcome to the Love Government. I'm Dennis Leary, and we're presenting a series of videos on the sex cards. And these are the cards. The cards are part of a bigger system which is called the Love Government. So sex fits into the context of love, or it doesn't, and then there's problems. These cards are part of a structure, and it's shown here. The whole card layout is here. These cards are also taken from a book which is at the website, and it tells a story as we go along, and it's a game because you have to overcome obstacles as you go on this journey, and the journey is all about becoming true lovers. So in the process of going through life, or going through these cards, which is a model of going through life on a journey, we learn how to do that. We learn what the difference is between a true lover and a false-hearted lover. And then we incorporate that into ourselves, so every time we go on these journeys, play this game, or gather here, we learn more how to do it. And we invite into these, this is like a ceremony or a ritual or a game or a program, and we invite not just ourselves, but lovers from all time and dimension to come in. So it's like a sacred ceremony, which was very commonplace in the love culture of, say, our origination 100,000 years ago, East Africa, when we were innocent and it was obvious that we were designed to be lovers. Today we have remnants of that, say in church services, sometimes in some kind of political ceremonies, very fleeting traces of the love culture. Because basically our culture is 99% anti-love if you look at its operating premises. This card is the 15th card in this whole structure that I'm talking about. It's only one of 52, and it's called the body. And it's referencing the lover's body, which is all of reality, and then we reference our body as part of that. And that card shows up here as the Ace of Spades in the card game. It's the first card in the suit of spades, and there are 7 cards, and it's called the body. We start with the body. There are 7 spaces in our body, in our consciousness, in our being, in our self, according to this model. And we start with the body because that's the most obvious to us. It's the most obvious space we have. It's the phenomena that is presented to us, and that's where we start. It's called phenomenology in philosophy. You start with the phenomena that's presented right in front of your face. And what is that about? So what is the body about? Well, we're here on this planet for body gain. There's 7 billion of us now, souls or spirits, trying to get a body to come into this earth because it has so much opportunity for gaining in the understanding of love, understanding who we are, even though there's the possibility of the body experiencing pain. This is the negative side. And these cards spin, by the way, negative, positive, negative. That's what gives the energy. They spin. Or this way, spin, 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 spin. And we're going at love speed, so they're spinning very fast, way faster than light speed. Because this planet is painful now because of the fall of man, or patriarchy, which has turned it from this love, red heart, earth-centered, vulva-centered, woman-centered, earth-centered, child-centered. They've reversed it. And they've brought it up here to the chest area and made a black spade out of it. And this is really now a chest pump of power, puffing up, buffing yourself up here. And it's a power symbol like this. He-Man type. Hail Caesar! Hail Caesar! Based on the Roman Empire. And we'll talk more about that. But see, this is a power system. It's a power over system. It's a pyramid scheme that crushes people at the bottom and tricks people into thinking when they get to the top, or near the middle, they're going to have it made. But like the poet says, when you get to the top, you find you're at the bottom. Because this thing is illusional, and it's going to collapse like this. It's going to well, this is going to fall too. This is a house of cards. It's going to fall for the fun of it. And then what's going to be left? Who we are. What we have character we have developed for ourselves, that's not going to fall away. The body will fall away. But we'll simply move into the greater lover's body. Now let's look at this in terms of sex cards. These cards are all very sexy, but they have a sacred sexual message to them. So this card has as a man or a woman, it's ambiguous. Let's say it's a woman sitting on a white horse, holding again in her vaginal hand, this is a symbol of the vagina, a penis, ejaculating penis because the leaves are coming out of, and there's a red ribbon up, and it's going through a wreath, which is the vagina, and she's wearing a wreath, he or she wearing a wreath on her head, and there's 6 of them. It's called the 6 of, so there's a lot of sex going on, and it's in a love context, the way we interpret it. And on this side, see, if you don't have sex in a love context, it's going to be something else, and that's what this serves, and it's going to be painful eventually. So sex, if it's not in a love context, will slip off into perversity. Perversity, which is like porn, is a money-making deal, objectifying people, and then you present sex that way, and you corrupt the culture that way. Or you associate it with power. Sex becomes associated with power, and then it becomes this thing, patriarchal power, and it's bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. So you make the woman or whore, the man, whoever, an object of power, and you use it, or advertising, or, it gets all mixed up, confusion, if it's not understanding with love, and that love has to be sacred love, and that's what we're doing here. This is like a sacred ceremony, and we're tapping back into the love culture in a broad painting brushstroke way. 100,000 years ago, East Africa, by the big lake, in the tropics, when our species was young, gathering on the water well or the streams of water, the trees would grow around that. That's where the people had their sacred shrines, their groves for their living quarters, etc. And that's where they engaged in what they engaged in. And most of what they did was engage in sacred sex ceremonies, because they didn't have much to do. That was their recreation. That was their cultural focus, and that's what kept the world going round. That's why they were protected in all the dangers of that environment, because they had a deep love, spiritual energy, which they constantly reenacted in their daily activities. It would be weird to us, and we'd be put in prison if we tried to do that in our culture today. But in that time, there was no prisons, there was no armies, there was no killing as such, no killing of animals yet. It would come later. And therefore, they were protected with this spiritual type, physical, loving energy. Now, we in our culture have lost that almost totally, like 99%. That's why we're in such a mess, because no one or very few true lovers are left to keep the love current going. But that's where the love government arises, to once again recover what it meant to be a true lover. And then if you do that, the culture will follow suit. So it means changing your thinking, changing your language, changing your practices. All of these are radical acts, and we'll get into them as we go on, which are not popular. They go against the grain, and they will incur the wrath of those who feel threatened or insecure about it. But we need to do it if we're going to save ourselves, save the planet, restore the planet. Now, we may not care. That's a choice we make. And that's going on even as I speak. These energies, we're dealing with energies and information, and we're dealing with love energy. The source that the love government goes to is called the lover, or love, personified. Now that our origin of that, when that appeared on this planet, it was 100, 200,000 years ago. That doesn't mean we have to go back there. It doesn't, but we can download some of that into our culture and then reform it. That's the idea, reform it. And it may not take that many. It's quality rather than quantity. I think it may only take 5 true lovers to turn the whole world right side up. Just 5. And not including myself. I'm a wannabe lover. I'm not a lover. Not the kind of lover I'm talking about. But it may only take 5. Maybe they're not here yet. But maybe they'll be attracted by this video series or this garden setting. Maybe they'll come in and they'll change the planet. I think. Maybe 1 person. But 5 can do it, I think. And we're aware in the love government of all the pain that is happening in our culture because of the mismanagement that's going on. So if you read the mainstream press, you won't see much of it. You see the surface of it, but if you read deeper into alternative sources of information, you see there's terrible suffering going on in this world. And it needn't be that way. It wasn't never meant to be that way. It was meant to be a paradise. Meant to be a paradise. So it's very important, and we'll bring it out as time permits, why that happened. And it's very reasonable. It stands to reason why that happened. And if we know why things happen, we can change it. And we start here in the studio space with our bodies. Do we love our bodies? Thank you then for joining us on this journey and participating in these rituals, these ceremonies, these talks, these sharing of love is what's going on, if it's going on. So we take all that love energy that we create here and we gather it together. You can almost feel it. If you put your hands out, you can almost feel it. And then you give it to yourself, first of all. And then you share it out with the world. So that's what we do here. We share it through this modern technology. And let me put another plug in here for love. Love is the greatest technology ever. You know, all the technologies we have today can't hold a candle to the ancient practices of love, which we are going to see as we go along. Thank you, and once again, love, and